For you been looking low, I'm such a sucker for the pain. Pain, pain, baby. I'm helpless, baby. What's it in your hands? I'll fall apart. You know how to break me. Hammer to the heart. Caption it, passion, and then capture me, trap me instead. Happy to die now. We're wrapped in the sheets of your bed. Ooh, no, the only way I'm leaving. Ooh, isn't easy. It's when I think I found a strength to pull, push you away, away. I pull you in again. Oh, I'm such a sucker for the pain, pain, pain.
We live in an education system right now that is data rich, but information poor.
The biggest challenge right now is that we're not using the data that we do have.
We have lots of data, but it's trapped in spreadsheets.
And as a result, we don't have the information we need to improve student learning and outcomes.
Right now, that information is either not coming to them, or it's not understandable, or it's just too late to make any meaningful decisions.
So our proposal is that states and districts adopt policies that embed data into those decision-making processes.
So what we wanted to do was to show that they can do this work, and the way to do it was to create an academic model for public schools.
We can provide really important information for schools and teachers to learn what's working, what's not working, how to adjust their practices, so that the collective goal is really to help all kids to flourish.
Our current assessment and accountability model is 20 years old.
The data that is really underpinning so much of our assessment and accountability systems needs to be modernized.
In the future, I hope we can change the conversation about accountability to focus more on how children are doing in the early years and not so much on what schools are doing in the later years.
We're not grooming just the next workforce. We're making sure we have great citizens that can help create great communities. And in order to do that, you have to start in the K through 12 system.
We know from research on child development and brain development that those first 5 years of life are critical.
The change that I hope to see in the educational system is one where students are centered, their voices are valued, and their experiences are elevated.
School districts need to use data on their own from the inside out to try to improve on their processes, to push for continuous improvement, to get better outcomes for their students, not because somebody on the outside is making them, but because using data to improve what you do should be core to who we all are.
So I hope what we're doing is that we're staying student-centered and that we're making sure that every kid in our country has what they deserve around their learning.
My hope is that through this consistent and continuous data collection processes, we are able to identify each individual student's strengths and needs so we can target resources and support to those individual students to maximize their developmental trajectory and also future success.
We need more data to help accelerate students' academic growth and get them back on track for college and career.
Data has exploded. We see data changing every industry. Not so much, though, in education. People outside education are using it to look at education, but we're not seeing people inside the system use it in the same way they are in other industries. And yet, when we put data in front of teachers and principals and district administrators, they do light up. They want to use it. It's super powerful with people.
It's personal because it was me. It's personal because it is me. And it's personal because I care about all the me's that are out there.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay? Yay. All right. Okay. Well, welcome you guys. Good afternoon. We're pleased to have you guys join us today for today's Chamber Luncheon. We've got a great program lined up for you. But before we would begin, I'd love to thank Jonah Bank of Wyoming for being our presenting sponsor today. We are so appreciative of your support. Please join me in welcoming Haley Chenchar, Executive Director of the Cheyenne Children's Museum, to speak on behalf of Jonah Bank. Please come to the stage. Hi.
I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. Hello, friend. My name's Haley and I just took a bite of salad and everyone eat your greens. We love health. But my name is Haley Chenchar and I am the Executive Director of the Cheyenne Children's Museum. Yay, children. Woo! But I am here today to talk, and I am here to gush really, because why don't we all, about Jonah Bank, because the Cheyenne Children's Museum, I think we all know, it's been a long time coming for this community. About 12 years been coming for the community. And none of this would have been possible without a lot of our integral supporters, and one of them has been Jonah Bank. And when I say that, it's not just our bank, it's their mission statement. This is something I was thinking about. They're building a better Wyoming, and it's not past tense. It's that ing, it's an action verb, and something that they continue to do. And I've only been in this project for about 11 months, but that has been so apparent in the short time I've been a part of this story. Jonah's been awesome. And from me interacting with their tellers as I try to figure out how to balance a cash register, because that's been a while, and them walking me through the process, to their leadership team and their involvement on so many community boards that also support us, and so many other organizations and projects in the community who are focused on making this community better, because we're worth it, our kids are worth it, our families are worth it. And I think that we can all agree, maybe the last few months have been kind of like a fever dream, but Jonah has been one of those supporters that you can just, they continue to be there, and they continue to genuinely care about the progress and the impact that they're making, that you're making on the community. And so we are so lucky that we're opening in February this year. Very, very soon. Woo! That's like some cheering. And the work is just beginning, right? Because it's not going to be a past tense when we open. And that's something that's been really inspiring about Jonah and their involvement in the community. And just a reminder for me, and I know for my board as well, of the work is just starting for the community. And while we have this incredible new thing, thanks to so many by the community, for the community, leaders, champions who have stepped up to be a part of this and make it happen. Now is really the time that we could to start turning this into our Cheyenne Children's Museum. Jonah's incredible contribution to our outdoor exhibits and all of the contributions they've made for the last 12 years too, from the beginning with our board and up to now and everything in between. So we cannot wait. It's been, well, we waited 12 years, so I guess we can wait, but we can't wait much longer. And we just, thank you. Thank you. And Jonah's just one, but there's a lot of people I'm seeing in this room who, I didn't know you 11 months ago, but I know you now. And I think that's really cool because this entire room is full of people who aren't going to give up to make Cheyenne better. And that's a really cool thing that is rarer than I think we think. So thanks for letting me be here. I'll stop now, but go children, go Jonah, go Children's Museum. Woo!
Thank you so much, Haley. Yes, woo children. Your energy is so infectious and we thank you. And thank you guys to Jonah as well. We'd also like to extend a special thank you to our other sponsors for today's luncheon. Our gold sponsor is Little America Hotel and Resort. Silver sponsor, Full Tilt Services and Clean Spark Inc. Our bronze sponsors are Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Wyoming, Blue Federal Credit Union, and Papa John's Pizza, Wyoming. One more big round of applause for our sponsors. What we do here would not be possible without you, so we do really appreciate all of your help. Now, please welcome Whitty Wickham with Tolan Mechanical Systems, a member of our Red Carpet Committee, to come forward to introduce our new partners.
Howdy, y'all. Whitty Whitcomb with the Red Carpet Committee. You know, when's the last time someone rolled out the red carpet for you? Members of the Red Carpet Committee, we're all in a red shirt with a tag. We're the ambassadors for the chamber who roll out the red carpet to make people welcome, and we celebrate new partners and help them connect. Today, I'm pleased to introduce you some of the new chamber partners we have. First one is Malarkey Roofing. We've got Carl McCall here. He's the sales representative for Malarkey Roofing products, covering Wyoming and Western Nebraska. Malarkey Roofing products have been offered in Cheyenne and the surrounding area for over 3 decades. Their roofing products are designed with the focus of performance and sustainability. Founded in 1956 by Herbert Malarkey, Malarkey Roofing Products has been a pioneer in the roofing industry. From being the first to incorporate upcycled rubber and plastic into their shingles, to being the first to launch a SBS polymer modified asphalt shingle. Please help me welcome them. Next, we've got Adam Lynn from Full Tilt Services. I believe you're here, maybe? There he is. So Fence Track Inc. and Full Tilt Services is a professional excavating, trucking, and fencing company that specializes in site preparation, material transportation, and perimeter security solutions for residential, commercial, and industrial projects. Their services include land clearing, grading, utility trenching, and demolition, along with hauling materials like gravel, dirt, and debris. Additionally, they provide high-quality fencing installations for security, privacy, and agricultural needs. With a skilled workforce and reliable equipment, their company ensures efficient, safe, and high-quality project execution. Let's welcome them. Next, we'd like to welcome Amber Conwell with Iron Spur Architecture and Design, which was founded by Amber in 2024. Amber is an experienced architect with over 10 years in historic preservation, commercial, and interior design. She has a versatile profile that includes both historic preservation, commercial projects, and interior design. Using advanced tools like 3D modeling and virtual reality, to help clients visualize their designs. In addition to her practice, Amber is an active member of several professional organizations and contributes to her community through leadership roles and speaking engagements. Let's welcome her. And last and definitely not least, we have Tiffany Gores and Joel Simka, or Simeka. I pronounced that wrong. Sorry, Joel. Senior Helpers has been a national leader in professional in-home senior assistant services. They help seniors remain in their homes despite age-related illnesses and mobility challenges. They are proud to lead the industry in programs like Senior GEMS that certifies their caregivers in Alzheimer and dementia care, as well as they are first in the industry to have a Parkinson's care program. Their mission is to ensure a better quality of life for their elders and the families by providing dependable and affordable care. Let's welcome them.
Some people might call me grumpy, but I do not have quite the excitement that I will do my best to, yeah. Thank you guys for being here today. So what a wonderful day in Cheyenne. I know we're going to get some colder weather next week, but it's been beautiful and it's something to celebrate. You know, I have decided that the only way I can get my friend Dickie Shaner to come to one of my luncheons is to invite his boss. So while I'm overjoyed to have Megan here today, one of my ulterior motives was just to make sure that Dickie showed up. Thanks for all you do for Cheyenne and Wyoming. Dickie, you've been a good partner with us for a long time. And I go around the lunch table a while ago and I run into John Cooker. So John, it's good to see you back in Wyoming, and the Baptists are praying for you. His brother-in-law is the president of Oklahoma Baptist University, where I graduated from college. So we'll be working on you, John. Good to see you here today. So there is no suit today. So those of you who were here last month, several of you mentioned it to me today that I had Uncle Bert's suit on, which was a retro Western suit from the 60s. And so one of the things you will see, oh, there's John there. Wave, good to see you, John. One of the things you will see out of the chamber and our beliefs is that addition to culture of our communities, it is also the character of our communities. And so as all this upheaval is going in the world, it's important to remember that our character is important to business and it's important to our customers. And so you will see again and again. Can anybody tell me the 3 things from last month? I know somebody asked me about it. These 3 things, right? Work hard, do the right thing, tell the truth. And so we believe that if we move forward with those, it's very close to the Cowboy Code of Ethics, huh, Mike? Good to see you, Mike. He was trying to pay no attention to me. He's taking notes. You don't need to take notes. You got this. But it's important that we maintain this as a culture, not only for our community, but for our state. And as we compete around the country, around the world to get workforce, to get companies, the way we present ourselves and the way people see us is very important. And I think it's a great something for us to latch on to say, this is going to be us, that we are going to be a place that works hard, that tells the truth, that does the right thing. And I do think it will benefit us long term. So a couple of things happening in the chamber this month. I was just reminded one of the things that we are honored to have in this community is a great military presence. Not to mention it's almost 40% of our economy, right? Billions of dollars a year. But it is also a pride for us that the men and women who serve in uniform, that bear the flag of this nation, that we take care of them. One of the ways we do that, it's a simple thing, but it means a lot to them. We do a cookie drive every February, close to Valentine's Day, where we ask you to donate cookies for troops. Johnny Galbert, the commander at the base, says, can we get some diet cookies? It's really hard on our athletic requirements. as he's snarfing down a cookie, right? So please consider donating. You will see some information about that. You don't have to, some of you are really good cooks and maybe you want to bake them, but you don't have to bake them yourself. But we can tell an airman, I love you, and we appreciate you by doing this. Another thing I'd let you know, so our MAC committee is busy sending care packages to deployed Air Force and Army folks from the Guard all over the world. So you don't see this a lot now, but we've got people in places that they're seeing missiles fly over their heads. There's guns being shot at them every day. And it's important for us to send them something to say, hey, we remember you, we support you, we support your families back here at home. So as you interact with those people, know that it's a hard time for some of those folks and we want to do a good job with them. So you guys are great about this. So I am so proud that you have always supported this, but please, we're asking you one more time. Give yourselves a round of applause because I know that these guys appreciate deeply what you do for the men and women in uniform in this state. So you've heard a lot about the legislature in the last couple of weeks. How many of you have a positive view of it? I do. I will tell you, there's been a lot of poking around, but we sat down with chambers and economic development agencies all over this state. And Amber, who's the COO at the chamber, and I take those issues and we represent them at the state capitol. To be honest, since I've been in Wyoming, business is on track to have the most successful year for the approval of our issues, things like lower regulation, a tax system that's balanced and makes sense, protection for our military. This is the best year on track. And I will tell you the other thing, that in the last couple of years, you've read the articles in the newspapers, and it's certainly the truth, where we have seen legislators in the hallways that have not getting along. Maybe they tossed a curse word at each other. Even, there was a fist fight that was in the paper, right, where they got in a little tussle downstairs. It is absolutely a civil environment. These guys will talk to you about it. They don't always agree with us. We're going to lose some. Everybody is. I'm sure Megan will talk about some of that when she's here. But they have talks with us. They are civil, and we have a path to move forward. So I think send your elected officials a thank you note. It's important to back up good behavior. Send them a note that says, we appreciate you listening to business and supporting a civil environment in our legislature. And I guess we're about halfway done, so we'll see how it all works out for everybody. Certainly there are concerns. Funding for local and county governments is a concern, concerns with education, but that is part of the process. So send them a note. Just say thanks. Doesn't mean they're perfect. It means they're working toward an end that will make a better place to live, work, and do business in the state of Wyoming. All right. Draw a card. Free lunch. Drawing goes to, I got to put on my glasses. See, this is old and grumpy too. Cooper Overstreet. So if you'll see my staff, over here, yeah. Cooper, if you'll see my staff, we'll get you set up with that free lunch. So gambling is also a big topic at the legislature. I don't know if you call this gambling, but it's kind of, right? All right, 221-9511. This is why we need a good education system so we can read. All right, so you donate this back to the Children's Museum. And oh, by the way, the last thing I said about not being, I immediately retract that because that was my wife that won it. So I was not saying anything. but she was educated in Georgia. And having used to live there, I do know that some of them have to take off their socks and shoes so that they can add and subtract. So we'll go from there. Haley, I don't know who wants to be responsible for that. So to make sure I have a place to sleep tonight, I would now like to bring your chairman, Lexi Garrett, forward to introduce our speaker for today. So please give Lexi a warm round of applause.
Thanks for having me back. All right, thanks, Dale. Now let's get ready for a really exciting presentation. Today, we welcome Megan Degenfelder, Wyoming Superintendent of Public Instruction, a proud sixth-generation Wyomingite. Megan has been making waves in education since January of 2023. With degrees in business economics and political science from the University of Wyoming and a master's in economics from Beijing, she's got the credentials and passion to back it up. Megan's journey spans both public and private sectors, including impressive stints in the local coal and oil and gas industries. Her blend of government affairs expertise and community service makes her a powerhouse advocate for education and economic growth in our state. Today, Megan will explain why educated workforce is a game changer for business. A well-educated team is the secret sauce for innovation, productivity, and staying ahead in a fast-paced market. Investing in education means equipping people with the skills and knowledge that they need to thrive, fostering a culture of continuous improvement and resilience. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Megan.
That was such a kind introduction. I wonder if we can use it for our website or something. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is really great to be here today for the Greater Cheyenne Chamber of Commerce Luncheon. It is hard to believe that the last time that I spoke to this group was almost exactly 2 years ago, just days after I was sworn into office. And now that I'm midway through my term, I'm very excited to share with you the progress that we have made, but also the direction that we're heading in Wyoming education. The state of education is good, but we still have much work to do. As business leaders, I do not need to explain to you all the importance of education. In fact, I think it should be our top priority as policymakers in the state. Our founding fathers found value in funding education because they knew that the key to building the greatest country on earth was a well-educated citizenry. They knew that every child, no matter their background of circumstances, if they had access to an education, not only would they be better off, but the entire country as well. And that's why each and every one of us should be fighting for improvement. That's why we should be worried about last week's release of the national assessment results that showed a nationwide drop in reading proficiency. Even at the state level, while we should absolutely celebrate our results staying relatively stable and above many other states, we should not settle for anything less than progress. Wyoming doesn't do just good enough. We aim higher. And progress is possible, but we need bold, innovative leadership in Wyoming. We need to take risks and chart uncharted paths. We need to return to that unabashedly bold decision-making that existed when Wyoming became the first state in the nation to grant women the right to vote. That was viewed as radical at the time, but look where we are now. Wyoming is a state that leads. We don't ask permission. That desire to push for innovation is why when I first came into office, I created a strategic plan based on 6 key initiative areas with all their own goals. 2 years later, these really remain the guiding principles in the Department of Education and for our goals for statewide education. The first initiative area is parental empowerment and eliminating political bias. We've made significant progress on our goals. We launched a curriculum transparency initiative that 10 school districts are a part of in the state. We also worked on model policy for library materials. I worked with the legislature to pass legislation protecting women's sports, ensuring reporting of health changes to parents, and creating historic school choice in Wyoming, from public charter schools to education savings accounts. Because at the end of the day, parents should be the #1 decision maker in their child's education. My second initiative area has been preparing students for jobs through career and technical education. Not only have we been able to significantly reduce the red tape that existed for CTE dollars to get from the federal and state government to our local districts, but we also worked with the legislature to double our funding for career and technical student organizations. These are organizations like FFA, FBLA, FCCLA, DECA. I know, Jara, you know what we're talking about over here. We're also increasing our workforce credentials and work-based learning opportunities tailored specifically to Wyoming's economy that gets kids out of the classroom and learning real-world skills that still meet our state content and performance standards. We're piloting both project-based learning and competency-based learning, where students move along at their own pace, even within the same cohort of students. And we're working with partners like Central Wyoming College on an initiative in Fremont County that will connect CT opportunities across the county, specifically helping our Native American students. We're also working through ideas for expanding financial literacy instruction and creating a network that we connect local businesses, such as yours in this room, with our schools and students. Imagine a Wyoming where students can learn far beyond the confines of a classroom, from welding shops to the local hospital to their piano lessons, when aligned with our state content and performance standards, can count towards their school completion and all be accessible on a digital platform. That's what we're working towards in Wyoming education, because real-world experience counts when preparing the next generation of Wyoming's workforce. Number 3 is developing citizenship for students. This initiative is all about bringing patriotism back to our schools. We've worked with partners like the University of Wyoming Wallop Foundation to create a civics education center, and recently with the National Military Vehicles Museum to create curriculum around World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War, which will all be available later this fall. Not to mention, we plan this fall to bring back a mega teacher conference in the state of Wyoming, with the focus being around America's upcoming 250th birthday, because America is worth celebrating. My next initiative is all around reducing bureaucracy and creating efficiencies. And this has taken place in just about every aspect of the way that we do business at the Department of Education, from grant writing to data reporting. Initiative number 5 is valuing and supporting teachers. And no, this doesn't mean just letting any 18-year-old in front of a classroom or making teachers post all of their curriculum a year in advance. In the first month of office, I established a teacher retention and recruitment task force of nearly 30 stakeholders across the state. And they came up with recommendations of what would help keep teachers in the classroom, what would incentivize new teachers to join. The group spent many months on this work, and we are already working on implementing some of those recommendations, including development of a principal leadership academy, reducing our content and performance standards by nearly 70%, reducing the assessment burden for our teachers and our students, and also launching a mental health framework. This year, we plan to continue what we call the Tour of Excellence, highlighting the great work of teachers all across the state. And we're working in 2025 to create an innovators network where we can tie together innovative teachers across the state in their areas of expertise so they can mentor each other and work together to better serve our students. The vast majority of our students are doing an exceptional job in the classroom, and we need to ensure that the system isn't holding them back. Supporting Wyoming teachers doesn't need to mean more bureaucracy. It means giving teachers the freedom to do their jobs well. Last, but certainly not least, is our initiative to improve early literacy. We know that if a child cannot read by the 3rd grade, that their future is limited. And so we're currently in the process of discussing major literacy reform in the state of Wyoming based on national best practices. We provided a supplemental, or rather substitute bill to the Senate Education Committee last week, but I feel that this will be a very important interim topic in the coming months. With the state's 3-year rolling average of fewer than 50% of our students being proficient or above on the English language arts assessment, we have to do better. We have to do better for our kids. I believe truly that if we continue to work on these initiatives that I've outlined for you today, the next generation will be better prepared to enter the Wyoming workforce. They'll be better prepared to be patriotic citizens, and they'll be better prepared to be the visionaries that keep our state strong. Wyoming's future is not yet written, but if I have anything to say about it, it will be a story of strength, of resilience, of success. And I know that the community in this room, our Wyoming businesses, will be right there with us, driving for innovation, creating jobs for young people, and ensuring that Wyoming remains a place where hard work pays off. Thank you. If that's fine. Sure. Sure. We can take questions if folks would like. Any burning questions? Thanks, Haley. Yeah, woo education, right? Yeah, to Ko Haley. It's a great question, and I think one that we're continually trying to fine tune. We're working really hard in our system to figure out, how we take the state assessment. What are we doing with accountability? We have this system, but is it serving the purpose? Are we responding if a school or a district is habitually failing? Are we giving credit where credit's due for those high performing ones? And so we're now working with a lot of new AI and technology that's around getting real data to teachers in real time of how their students doing. So we're not just depending on looking at one test, but really all of those assessments throughout the year. So I think that that's an important piece, because by the time sometimes we see third grade ELA results, it's too late, right? We can continue to work with that student, but we've got to be assessing earlier on. And that's screeners is another key area of data that we need to have. I think data also has an incredible role to play in terms of what the needs of the Wyoming workforce are. I mean, that's what we're preparing here, is the future workforce for all of your companies in this room. And so using that data of where the actual jobs lie, where we want to provide those opportunities for students, and more importantly, exposure. We have to make sure that our students are exposed to that. I also referred to it a bit in my remarks, but I really want to use data and particularly maybe blockchain technology of how we really take a digital wallet or the concept of that to the next level with our students. Like I said, this concept of learning everywhere. If they're taking a piano lesson, can that be matched, aligned to our standards and count towards their completion? So that frees up a music credit where they can take a welding class instead, where we can move quicker towards dual and concurrent enrollment so that our kids can be more on the fast track as they move forward. That was probably more than you bargained for with an answer, but yes. Yep. So number one, it depends on the particular IEP, right? If they should have an individual reading plan or not. But absolutely. I mean, we have to work with every single kid in this process. And that's where, there's a lot of talk in the legislature of exceptions or exemptions of if we have, if we have 60% of kids performing well, then that's okay. Well, that's still 40% that aren't. We can't leave any kid behind in this. What we're working on is really based on national best practices and this scientific method of teaching reading that's really capturing the country. And so this is going to involve upstream efforts, though. We can't just provide a stick to our teachers and say, figure it out. We have to give them the tools that are upstream. A lot of our teachers haven't even been trained in this. And so we took a lot of COVID dollars to provide training called Letters that has made a huge difference in the state. So we're talking about professional development, not only for teachers, but also administrators that are buying curriculum, that are involved in those. We're talking about reading literacy summer camps for those lower performing districts. We're talking about working with higher education and make sure that our teachers, when they take a praxis, that means something in terms of this movement in literacy across the country. So a lot of details to that, which it sounds like and can appreciate and are passionate about. And so if you have ideas, please let us know. But it's something that's very important to me. Sure. Yes, Michelle, you want to come up and just talk about it? No, I think that we have to focus on this. And when we got a great stakeholder group together that did a great work product that provided, where we need to be, did some great research of schools. I think there's like 8 school districts in the state of Wyoming that require financial literacy as a graduation requirement. Don't quote me on that number. I think it's around there. And so we've started to talk with legislators about what that might look like as a requirement on the state level. It wasn't something we were feeling traction for this session, but I think in this interim, we'll continue to discuss what makes the most sense. I've started to talk to districts that are providing that. Natrona County is a great example. I was talking to the principal of Kelly Walsh High School recently about how they were able to integrate that. And so we know that districts are doing it, big and small districts. We need to unlock, what the barriers are for those that aren't yet. And ideally, we like to do everything in a grassroots method rather than coming down with the iron fist of the legislature. So we'll keep at that. Our work has not stopped, particularly for that stakeholder group. Pete. Yeah, great question. This is a big discussion item right now, and there's a lot of uncertainty out there. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. But the Federal Department of Education, it's only existed since the late 1970s, I believe. So it hasn't really been around that terribly long. I mean, we were giving out Pell Grants were existing far before the federal department was created. And so we know how to do this without the federal agency. And so that doesn't mean that the programs and services are going away. What that can mean is more of a block grant model to our states to be able to determine how we're going to handle education, reducing the bureaucracy and the red tape that's associated. And so I know that there's a lot of, fear of the unknown out there right now. But I really think it's a great opportunity to be able, again, to take back power as states. It was something that Ronald Reagan even was working for when he was president of trying to dismantle the federal department. And so we don't know all the details yet, what exactly that'll look like. Things like financial aid for students that could likely go into departments like Treasury that makes sense there. And so again, it does not mean that these things go away. I think it just means greater flexibility for the states. Any others? Yes, one more. Great question. And I, there's been a lot of conflict between all of those. I don't think that there has to be. I truly believe that they can all work harmoniously together. And I really believe that. I believe that in my bones because choice fundamentally improves outcomes for students. And so we just have to work on what that exactly looks like. And that's exactly what we're doing down the street right now is talking about what is that measure of funding versus accountability. I think, when we have state funds involved, there has to be some sort, some test of accountability. So we're working on that, whether, assessment, certifying the different providers. But I am a huge, huge fan of school choice. I believe really passionately in it because every student learns so differently. The vast majority of our students are going to do exceptionally well in our traditional system. I was a product of our traditional system and wouldn't have changed a thing. But it doesn't work as well for other families and situations. And so we're going to continue to build that and again, make sure that it works and we can keep a robust public education system, but also have choices for parents. Yes.
Pardon me. In your remarks, you had commented that you had submitted a substitute bill for something that you anticipate having being an interim topic. Would you be willing to share kind of what the high points of that are and what do you think we're looking for, should be watching over the next year?
Sure. So it's a lot of, it's literacy, the topic of literacy. And so a lot of the things that I pointed out in a previous question is what that's going to look like, how we really reform literacy. There's been a lot of attempts over the years to fix the literacy statute, but it's really just been piecemealed together. And so I think it's time that we actually completely rewrite The literacy statutes, they're confusing. There's differing definitions. Again, we can get into the weeds as much as you want on this, but it's unorganized. And so it's really about restructuring that, getting it right, instead of just trying to do more patchwork to it. So a lot of, like I said, the professional development, praxis exam moving forward, those type of things related to literacy. Well, thank you all so much. Please remember, you're all education stakeholders.
Thank you so much, Megan. We are so grateful to have a true advocate for education and business within our very own community. We look forward to continuing to work together to shape our Wyoming youth and equipping our business community with a well-educated and well-rounded workforce for the future. So thank you. That's it. I mean, obviously not. There's a little paragraph left. But I didn't talk about football this time. That's going to be my thing. So, because I'm learning more about football. But there's the Super Bowl this weekend. So enjoy the treats and enjoy the halftime show. I'm going to learn some more about football, but I really enjoy the halftime show. But we would love for you guys to have a safe and wonderful weekend. We look forward to seeing you guys at the March luncheon. We will be featuring an oh God, that word is hard for me today. Economic development panel discussion with Dale Steenbergen, Betsy Hale, and Dominic Bravo. So you won't want to miss that one. So cheers to whoever you want to win, even though our favorite team isn't there in the Super Bowl. I mean, my favorite team, sorry. But thank you guys all for coming and have a great rest of your day.